guys, for today's first impression I'm trying out the Makeup Revolution Ultra Cream Contour Kit, and I have had this in my collection for a very long time. I think I had this in a haul around 9 months ago, and I've only just decided to try this out because I do use a cream bronzer every single day and I love it. It works amazingly on the skin and with all of my foundations, so I thought this would be the best time for me to try this out and see if I like cream contour. So this retails for £8, which is exactly the same price as the other contour kit. I did do a first impression on that, which I'll also link down below for you, and as you can see the shades are exactly the same. You get 8 different shades. You get the 2 pinky tone ones, the yellow one, 3 contour shades and 2 highlighter shades as well. One thing that I found when I purchased this is the fact that they only have one shade, and apparently this is meant to be versatile for people that have very fair skin tones, people that have very dark skin tones. So as you can see, the palette is pretty versatile. They do have some very pale shades and they also have some medium shades. If you do have dark skin, I'm not sure if this is going to match you because it looks pretty pale to me. I think I'm probably going to use one of the darker contours, and I have very fair skin, so I'm not really sure how it's going to work on people that do have dark skin. Something that I've noticed with the shades is that they're exactly the same as a powder contour kit. The only thing that's different are the highlight shades. They are pretty close but they're not exactly the same, and I think this is good if you can't use powder contour and you want to use cream contour. They're exactly the same shade, so you know what you're going to get with the cream contour. One thing that I noticed about this when I opened it up is the fact that you get some oils on the top. I'm not sure if this is exactly the same for all cream contour kits because this is my first one, but it just looks a little bit strange to me. This is also supposed to be a dupe for Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream Contour Kit. I think it's meant to be a dupe for the light one, so we're just going to go ahead and see how it looks. So I've also done some swatches so you can see what each shade looks like, and as you can see the 2 darkest contour shades look exactly the same. I don't think there's really any difference between them, and also the 2 pink shades look very similar as well. There's only a slight difference. And with the highlighter shades, I'm not really too sure if the brown highlighter actually looks like it's going to highlight the skin because it looks quite dark and it doesn't really look like it's got much shimmer in it, but the white highlighter shade looks pretty much like a disco ball, so I'm not really sure how this is going to look on the skin. So I'm going to apply this to my face and we're going to see how it blends, how it applies and if it works. The first thing that I'm going to do is my contour, and the shade that I'm going to choose is this one right here because it pretty much looks exactly the same as the other contour, only it's a little bit more cool toned. So I'm taking my Jessup Large Concealer brush for this and I'm just going to dip this in, and I'm just going to pop where I want my contour to go. So I want it underneath my cheekbones here, and it looks very pale. I thought it'd be a little bit more darker than this. So I'm just going to pop this under my cheekbones. It feels really smooth and silky on the skin, and the only thing I've noticed is that it does look like I need to build it up a little bit more than other cream contours, but it looks like it's doing pretty good. So I'm just also going to pop this around my forehead. This is where I always put my cream bronzer. And then I'm just going to pop some down the sides of my nose. And I don't usually contour down the sides of my nose. I used to all the time because I felt like my nose was huge, and I'm sort of just getting to grips with how my nose looks because I can't change it, so I'm just going to have to deal with it, and I don't really see any problem with that. So I'm also going to contour down the sides of my nose just so I can show you if it works and what it looks like. And that's where I want all of my contour to go. So I've contoured the hollows of my cheeks, contoured all around the sides of my head and also down the bridge of my nose as well. And to highlight, I'm going to use this shade right here, which is a banana shade, and I always use the banana shade out of my other contour palette to highlight because I just feel like it works a lot better. And also I use a concealer that has a yellow tone to it, and it just seems to counteract all of the bad darkness underneath my eyes and just highlight as well, so I like this. So I'm just going to pop this underneath my eyes, and I'm just doing a triangle motion. So already I can tell that I really like this banana shade. It's a lot more pigmented than the contour shades, and I do like this colour. I think it works really well on my skin tone at the moment. It'll work really well for when I'm pale and also when I'm tanned as well. And even though I'm tanned at the moment, I'm still a light medium shade. So if you do have dark skin, this is going to look very pale on you if you do decide to contour and highlight with it. So I'm just going to also do on my chin as well. And also when I finish blending out my contour, I'm also going to pop a little bit of this underneath my contour on my cheeks, and it just gives it a little bit more of a sharper look. So this is what my contour and highlight looks like at the moment, and I do look really crazy. As you can see, I have a lot of highlighter on, and the contour, it's not too dark. It looks like it matches my skin really well. And I'm just going to go ahead and blend out all of the contours. So we're going to see if it blends out really well, if it looks good, and if it gives a nice coverage, and if the colour looks good as well. And to blend out my contour, I'm using my Jessup Duo Fibre brush, and this is a brush that I use all the time for my cream bronzer. It works amazingly, it blends it out really well, and it doesn't look streaky either. So I'm gonna do down my cheeks first. I'm just gonna blend all of this out. I really like the contour. I feel like it's blended out really well. I'm also just going to put a little bit more of the contour on down this side. And then I'm going to blend this out again. And then we're also just going to blend down the sides of my nose as well. This is what it looks like with all of the contour blended out, and I feel like it looks really well. It did blend out really well as well, and it feels really nice and creamy, and I just think that the colour is pretty much perfect for my skin tone. The only thing is you do have to use a lot of the contour. You can't use a little bit like with the highlight shade. With the banana shade, it looks like a little has gone a very long way, and with the contour you do need to build it up quite a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and blend out the highlight, and for this I'm using a beauty sponge, and this is a dupe for the Beauty Blender, and I'm just going to see how this blends out. I always use this for my concealer to highlight, and it works really well, and it blends it out really well as well. So already I can tell that this highlight is blending out really well. I actually really like this. It blends out as well as my concealer, which I love. And it hasn't given me any red blotches either on my cheeks or anything like that. It just looks really good. And then I'm just going to use my sponge just to see if I can blend out the hairline a little bit as well. And then I'm also going to take a little bit more of the banana shade, and I'm just going to pop it underneath where my cheekbones are, just to give a little bit more of a sharper contour. And then I'm just going to blend this out. So this is what it looks like after contouring and highlighting. So far I can tell that I do like the contour, and it's blended out very well, and the highlighter is a favourite of mine. I really love the way that this looks on my skin, and it's covered up a lot as well. For my under eyes, I will need to put a bit of concealer over the top as well, because I just feel like that it doesn't cover up all of my under eyes as well as I'd hope, but it blended out really well. So I'm going to finish off the rest of my makeup and set all of this highlight and contour in, and then I'm going to come back and let you know my final first impression of this contour kit. Bye! So I finished off the rest of my makeup, and the last thing that I need to do is highlight, and for this I'm going to take this highlighter shade right here, and this looks a little bit crazy to me. It looks a little bit like a disco ball, so I'm just going to take a little bit and I'm just going to dot it on the apples of my cheeks, and we're just going to see how this blends out. And I'm one of those people who does not like cream highlighters. I prefer to have powder highlighters because I just think it looks a lot better. So I'm just going to see if this blends out using a beauty sponge. You know what, that actually looks pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with the way that this looks, and yeah, I just think it looks really nice, and it blends out really easily as well. I'm not sure if you can see, but that highlighter is just really crazy. I think in person it just looks a little bit blotchy, but on camera it looks really well. So I'm just gonna buff out this side. This is what the highlighter looks like after it's blended in, and it's blended pretty well. It does look a little bit blotchy in person, but on camera it looks incredible and it looks really lovely. So I think it's really good if you're using this for videos, but my opinion, I don't think I'd use this out because, like I said, it does look a little bit blotchy, but it does look like a really nice highlight. It pretty much looks exactly the same as my The Balm highlighter. It gives that much highlight, and I prefer that one because it is a powder highlighter. So I'm going to zoom out and give you my final first impression. So I've finished off the rest of my makeup, and I'm going to go ahead and give you my final first impression. So in the last clip, I did say that I finished off the rest of my makeup, and I noticed after I finished filming it that I didn't actually put any blush on, so I had to go back and put a little bit of blush on over the top of what I'd already done. So the first thing that I have to speak about is the price point of this. It's £8 and you get 8 different shades in here. So I know for a fact that there's going to be a couple of shades in here that I'm not going to use. So for instance, I don't feel like I'm going to use this middle shade right here, and I don't feel like I'm going to use this one here, and I'm not really too sure about these two pink ones. I'm not sure if I'd end up using those. I think I'd probably more than likely end up using this one because it's like a salmon pink shade, so it looks like it's going to do really good underneath the eyes to highlight and also get rid of the under eye circles. But I have used these 3 shades and I feel like I have a good first impression of them, things that I like and things that I don't like. The first shade that I'm going to speak about is this contour shade right here, which I used today, and I'm not too sure how I feel about it. Now the colour looks like it matches me really well. Like I said, I do have light to medium skin tones, but I know for a fact that if you do have darker skin than me, you're probably not going to be able to find a really good contour shade. Now the other one is slightly darker and it does have a warm tone to it, but for me, I feel like that if I get even a little bit more tanned, I'm not really too sure if I'm going to be able to use this because, like I said, it is pretty light on the skin, but I do feel like it blends out pretty well. Now earlier on, you didn't see in the video that I did try and use a makeup sponge to blend out the contour, and it didn't work at all, and it pretty much just made all of my foundation come off. So I don't recommend that you use that, and if you do want to blend out the contour, I recommend that you use a duo fibre brush. It works amazingly for me, and I haven't really found anything better than that to blend out cream products, but that's pretty much the best way that I used it. Now it did blend out really well. The colour is pretty good. I've also noticed that it's not very pigmented. I did notice that I needed to build it up quite a lot to get the pigment that I wanted. Now I have to say that I do prefer my W7 cream bronzer, and I use that for contouring. It has a bit of pigment and it blends out amazingly as well, and it lasts all day, and it just looks so much more natural on the skin. Now it is a little bit darker and a little bit more warm tone than what I'm wearing at the moment, but I do prefer it. It just looks so gorgeous on the skin, and I love the way that it blends out, and I use it pretty much every single day. I'm not sure if it's because I'm so used to it and this is just something different, but I do prefer that. Now I do like the contour that this is given. It looks very natural, and like I said, it's not too dark. I think that when I do use contour, I do want something a little bit darker, but I do like it, and as you can see, it's gone really well on my cheekbones. And the shade that I used to highlight was this banana shade right here, and I feel like I do actually like this shade. Now it gives a light to medium coverage on the skin, and it really does highlight underneath the eyes, and I also used it down the bridge of my nose, and I do feel like it's done really well with highlighting. The only thing is I did need to use my normal concealer just to highlight underneath my eyes a little bit more, just to add a little bit more coverage, but other than that, it looks really good if you're highlighting. And if you don't have really bad under eye circles or really bad bags under the eyes, I feel like it's going to work really well on that as well, and I just really like the look of it. I feel like that the shade is pretty much perfect for my skin tone. It's not too light and it's not too dark, and it looks pretty natural on the skin as well. It blended out amazingly. I actually preferred this over the contour shade. I felt like it blended out really well. I used a damp beauty sponge and it just worked incredibly, and it didn't give me any patches or anything like that, and it just blended seamlessly, and it just looks really good. So I really like this highlight shade. And the last shade that I used was to highlight my cheekbones, and the shade that I used was this one right here, and this is the only shade that has glitter in it, and I'm not really too sure how I feel about it. I think it looks really good on camera. As you can see, there is a really strong highlight right there, but in person I feel like it looks really blotchy, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it, but it does look really nice. It has a really good pigment to it, and it blended out really well, and I am a fan of it. I think it's good, but I don't really like cream highlighters. I much prefer powder highlighters, which is like what I have down the bridge of my nose. I have my Becca Shimmering Skin Champagne Pop Highlighter, and I feel like that looks a little bit better. But if you do like cream highlighters, I definitely recommend this one because it did seem to go on really well, and It looks amazing on camera, just look at that. I literally just love this highlight. I think it looks incredible on camera, so I'm a really big fan of that if you do want to use it if you're filming. So overall, I do like this palette and I definitely think it's worth £8. Now, if you do have dark skin tones, this probably isn't going to be the best one for you. I'm not sure if they have come out with other contour palettes for dark skin, but if they have, definitely try that out because I do recommend it. So if you do have very fair skin and if you have light skin, I think that the contour shade's going to look great on you because they're not going to look too dark and they just look really good and they do blend out really well. But if you do want to contour with a cream bronzer, I definitely recommend the W7 cream bronzer. It works incredibly and it blends out amazingly, and it's a dupe for the Chanel cream bronzer as well, and I'm just obsessed with it. So overall, I do recommend this contour palette. If you are on a budget and you do want to get a drugstore dupe, I definitely recommend that you check this out because it is really good and maybe you can get it to work a little bit better on the skin. I'm very new to cream contouring, so I'm not really sure if I did a good job or if I did a bad job, but I do like it and I definitely recommend it. It's super affordable and they blend out really well, and I think the pigment's pretty good on them as well. And with the packaging, I really like it because it's really nice and sleek, and you also get the giant mirror in there so you can use it if you're travelling. So this is my final first impression of the Makeup Revolution Cream Contour Kit. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you've tried this out and if you like it or if you don't, just comment down below to let me know. Also, if you know of any cream contour kits that are really good and definitely worth the money, then just let me know as well in the comment section. And I hope that you enjoy this video, and make sure that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video, guys. Bye!